takes me back, that does. Fantastic. Hummel, yeah, they were the sponsors. I was there that day, man. Eric Gates, right foot.
Gates has scored.
Come on.
Sunderland into the lead, and that's a
goal. Get in there. Right foot, back. Header, straight in the back of the net. Gary Bennett's got a hold of his throat. Oh, come on.
what a start for Sunderland.
Space opening up here. He's still going. Oh, it's a wonderful goal. The first of Huggins' career.
Wow, hey, that takes me back, that does. Fantastic. Hummel, yeah, they were the sponsors. I was there that day, man. Eric Gates, right foot.
Gates has scored.
Come on.
Sunderland into the lead, and that's a
goal. Get in there. Right foot, back. Header, straight in the back of the net. Gary Bennett's got a hold of his throat. Oh, come on.
what a start for Sunderland.
Space opening up here. He's still going. Oh, it's a wonderful goal. The first of Huggins' career.
Wow, hey, that takes me back, that does. Fantastic. Hummel, yeah, they were the sponsors. I was there that day, man. Eric Gates, right foot.
Gates has scored!
Come on.
Sunderland into the lead, and that's a...
Oh, get in there. Right foot, back. Header, straight in the back of the net. Gary Bennett's got a hold of his throat. Oh, come on.
What a start for Sunderland!
me back, that does. Fantastic. Hummel, yeah, they were the sponsors. I was there that day, man. Eric Gates, right foot.
Gates has scored.
Come on.
Sunderland into the lead, and that's a
Oh, get in there. Right foot, back, header, straight in the back of the net. Gary Bennett's got a hold of his throat. Oh, come on.
what a start for Sunderland.
Hello everyone and welcome to Sunderland's first game of the 2024-25 season. Myself and Danny are back in familiar surroundings here in the Quins Sports Bar, and we can't wait to get today's game off and running, and of course the season as well. Danny, we were together for the final game of pre-season against Marseille.
Yeah.
Perhaps a good way to go into the season up against a good opposition, but the real work starts today, doesn't it? And Regis Le Bris will be chomping at the bit to get going.
Well, he will, yeah. What was it, 7 pre-season games? Finishing with that one at Marseille, albeit at Bradford last weekend. I thought it was a decent run out. People don't tend to look at too much at the scoreline, but I thought the performance as a whole was pretty decent. Obviously, they had spells in that first half on the ball, but I think you could just see the way we set up, the way we were pressing them, trying to get after them high up the pitch, and we managed to nick it a few times. So it's taking all those pieces from pre-season, what you take off the training ground with the new head coach coming in, and now it's real, isn't it? It's the first game of the season, it soon comes round. Obviously a couple of games last night, straight back into it, and looking forward to us getting going.
Yeah, we'll look at the moments from the Marseille game soon, and but I think the most important thing is to give the viewers around the world watching the Sunderland team news if we can, and this is how Sunderland look, and Regis Le Bris, first official team sheet as Sunderland first team coach as well. It's pretty much as expected, Danny.
Yeah, I think so. No surprises on there. You can sort of read into it, can't you? Those last 2 or 3 games in pre-season, and obviously that's the side that we finished with, wasn't it, last weekend, or started with, should I say, last weekend. 4-3-3, Dan Neil in there, new number. He's got dropped the 24 for the number 4. That's sitting role, obviously with the armband as well.
Yeah.
Match day captain. They've gone with, haven't they?
Yeah.
Luke, obviously, club captain. Alan Brown in there, new addition. Patrick.
Who's impressed in pre-season?
Yeah, I'd say Patrick looks like he's getting back to what we know he's all about, really. I think he dipped off last season. Yes, he had 1 or 2 injuries, found it difficult, had a spell out of the side as well, but he's looked fairly sharp in pre-season as well. Mayenda is the big one at the top end of the pitch. Obviously, we haven't brought a centre forward in yet. That's obviously all the chat, really, isn't it? But it's an opportunity for him. I think he got 1 goal at South Shields early on. Yeah. He's had a few half chances in Blackpool after a minute or so. Perhaps should have done better with that one. Didn't have too much to go on last week against Marseille. But yeah, he's got a big opportunity now. Obviously, Rusin below him in the pecking order, it seems, on the bench. But he's got the opportunity, and if we are still looking to obviously bring a striker in, then he's got an opportunity now. Maybe next week or so, games thick and fast, and he's got to start taking some chances.
You know, when it gets to this point of the season, Danny, are you, as a player, as a professional, really looking forward to this first game? You know, all the hard work on the training ground during pre-season, all the sweating out of all the holiday spirit, and that's all gone at this point, and you're looking forward to kick-off?
Yeah, you are, yeah. Again, I didn't mind pre-season, you know. This year, obviously, we've been out to Spain. I wasn't too big a fan of going to the States and too far afield, really. I think Spain, Portugal, close enough. Get a good week or so into the boys, some good games out there, and then you're back to it, back on so-called home soil, and then you're ready to go. But yeah, this is what you've been working for in pre-season. It's to get one of those shirts in the starting 11 for this first game of the season. So these lads are now have got the opportunity. They've been given the shirts by Regis Le Bris. He's had a look at a lot of the boys now, obviously working with them day in, day out on the training ground. But it's real now, as we say there. They've got to go into it, obviously away from home, against the Cardiff side. I think if you look at them last season, tailed off similar to ourselves towards the end. I think they only won 3 of the last 9 games, albeit finished, was it 12th, I think they finished. So yeah, they've obviously made 1 or 2 signings themselves, which we'll obviously have a look at in a minute or so. But yeah, it's going to be a tough test. We've obviously just seen the weather. It looks like middle of November down at the Cardiff Stadium there.
That suits football, doesn't it?
No, I'd love that. Yeah, usually first game of the season, it's baking hot, mid-20s, getting on for 30 degrees, tongues hanging out after 20 minutes or so. It's not going to be the case this afternoon.
Let's look back through some of the moments then from that Marseille game, if we can, because that's the last game Sunderland were in action down at Valley Parade, and we'll maybe discuss some of the moments. It was a decent run out from the lads, and a good first 15 and a good first 15 in the second as well.
Yeah, no, it was. Yeah, I thought we started really well. You see here now, good opportunities. I think Job had the first one there. Didn't really catch it flush as he would have liked, but it just showed us with pressing high, sort of front 5 really going and pressing. And you know, when you're up against the Zerbi side, he wants to play out from the back, and he knows they're going to get caught in. And that 10-15 minutes, as you say, Frankie, we did manage to steal it off them, but didn't punish them really. And then they sort of came into the game, as we'll see. They had 1 or 2 efforts themselves, really.
They showed their quality, didn't they? How fast they could move the ball in transition, didn't they, from back to front?
Yeah,
and all manner of ways as well, not just, you know, the tiki-taka which you come to expect and the high possession from the Zerbi side, but also going long as well, weren't they?
Yeah, it was Moon Bagner, wasn't it? The big strong boy up the top end of the pitch. Yeah, as you say, they cottoned on, and they've got to expect it. Marseille with the Zerbi, it was the same at Brighton when teams want to go and press them high. They weren't afraid to drop a ball in. Sometimes the centre forwards would drop in deep into almost midfielders, and then the wingers just come narrow and try and catch them out the back line out, and they've done that well. I thought they played it up to the big man. He stuck it quite well at times and got them up the pitch. But it was a good game. I thought it was a good. It almost felt like, you know, some people say pre-season you're going through the motions, but it almost felt like a good game really, and almost like a league game. And there's the goal there. And I think the disappointment from there is where we got caught in possession on both occasions. I think it's Dan Neil at the first one just inside his own half, and then we get dragged around the pitch really. We don't see there now, we're outnumbered, it's almost 3v1. Luke tries to come across, and then we can't get back in. I think it's Trey trying to get back in there, and we concede. And it's similar to the one which we'll see. I think it's Trey in the second one, where we were having a good spell in the second half, got ourselves level early on. We were camped in their half and out of nothing. I think it's Kone off the bench, steals it off Trey and finds the far corner. But, you know, looking at us, I thought we set up well. I say Patrick's lively. I think Jack's been relatively quiet, to be honest, in pre-season. Yes, he hit the post in the second half, but from Jack's standards, he's been really quiet for me in pre-season. Maybe he's one of those who likes to try and build himself in it through pre-season and then kick on now when it's live, really, and you're at it in the first game of the season. We'll have to see.
Pat had a good game. This is a great assist.
Yeah, it was as well. Yeah, so he's off and running, as you said there, Patrick. Playing his part, a couple of assists now, and I think he had a goal as well, didn't he, against South Shields earlier on. But it's a lovely ball, isn't it? Dennis getting himself into the box, times his run really well, and gets enough on it to find that corner. But yeah, no, I thought we pressed. Starting that second half, as you said there, 15 minutes. You see it here now. Look how many bodies we're committing, getting up the pitch. It's a good save, isn't it, by the goalkeeper there? I think it was Patrick Roberts, wasn't it? Yeah, Alan Brown just lends it to him there. Nice weight on it for Patrick to step onto it first time. It's a good save from the keeper. But I think he would have been really pleased with this, Regis Le Bris. You know, a tough opposition, Marseille.
Who you know well from the French leagues as well.
Yeah, exactly that, and it's your last pre-season game. Now, if we'd have gone there and you're on the back of a hiding 3-4-0, and I know, as we said there, fans don't really read too much into score lines, but it's that confidence, isn't it? It saps if you go up there, you get the run around and you concede a lot of goals, but it wasn't the case.
Do you think we saw a bit of Regis Le Bris' identity as well in that side against Marseille?
Yeah, I think... you know, we'll just get onto the goal there, Frankie, as we see there. So Trey there, just tries to chop inside his man, doesn't he, Coney? Bodies around him, Luke comes across, wants to try and show him down the line, but he doesn't need to there, Coney. He just opens his body up, and it's a lovely finish, isn't it?
It's against the run of play as well, that.
Yeah, it is, yeah. But yeah, as you say there, you're asking about Regis Le Bris and his style of play, his blueprint, philosophy, whatever we want to call it. What's he all about? And I keep going back to those clips when he was mic'd up over in Spain. Just what I took from his training sessions is driving in that high tempo. Yeah, it's all well and good that, but you've got to have moments in the game. You can't be, you know, hammer and tongs at it for 90 minutes. You're going to burn yourself out. Yes, I know you can make subs, of course, but you know, there's moments where you've got to suss it. You know, maybe they look at the opposition. If they've got two right-footed centre backs, well, let's play on the left side, let him have it, then we go and pounce. But it's got to be sort of a domino effect, really, hasn't it?
Yeah.
If it's Mayenda up there, he's the trigger point, really. Then it's Patrick and obviously Jack. When are they going? What's their shape? And then obviously the 2-8s in behind them. Alan Brown, who looks like he wants to get up the pitch and support, and obviously Job as well. So I think we've done it well. It was a prime example in this game. I thought the first half against South Shields as well, who kept on trying to play out, and we kept catching them on the ball and punishing them. But yeah, you're obviously going to see it, and it's still building throughout the season. They're still getting to know the manager, and he's obviously getting to know the players as well.
Good couple of saves in a row from Anthony Patterson.
This is a concern for me. I've said it a few times in pre-season. Set pieces, Dan Ballard, massive for us in both areas. You know, he's aggressive. He wants to go and win it.
Still a couple of weeks off.
Yeah, and so we've got to step up the boys now. Adji Elise's back there. Luke, I know Luke's not the biggest physicality-wise, and the end of coming back, whoever it may be, we've got to get tight, even if, you know, they've got a bit of an advantage in terms of height and physicality. Get tight to your man, don't allow him to get a free run on it. As we see it there, yeah, so that obviously got the penalty late on, Roofsin, wasn't it?
Bit of soft penalty for you?
Yeah, I thought he'd give the lad a nudge in the back, to be honest, first. It could have been given, and then a bit of coming together, wasn't it? But it's one of them, we deserved a draw from it, I felt, and that was the case, yeah. So building from that now, good amount of games under our belt, similar to Cardiff. I think they've played several games themselves. You know, if you're looking at their form, I think they're unbeaten in pre-season. They finished with a 2-0 win last Saturday against Bristol Rovers. A couple of good goals as well. I had a look at them this morning. Rolls and Aaron Ramsey, 25-yarders. So just want to keep an eye on this afternoon.
Right, we will do. We'll have a look at a little bit more detail at that Cardiff City side when we return after the break here on SAFC Live. We're broadcasting around the world, of course. You can get your matchday streaming passes right now at safc.com.
Hummel, yeah, they were the sponsors. I was there that day, man. Eric Gates, right foot.
Gates has scored.
Come on.
Sunderland into the lead, and that's a
Oh, get in there. Right foot, back. Header, straight in the back of the net. Gary Bennett's got a hold of his throat. Oh, come on.
what a start for Sunderland.
Welcome back to SAFC Live. We are broadcasting around the world. Get your matchday streaming passes right now. 12:30 kickoff down at the Cardiff City Stadium. It is, of course, Cardiff City versus Sunderland, the first game of the 2024-25 campaign for Sunderland. Alongside me, of course, is Danny. We're here in the studio. We're going to have a little bit of a look at Cardiff in a moment, but let's bring you that Sunderland team news once again. If you are just joining us around the world this afternoon, this is how the Sunderland side looks this afternoon. You see the weather down there at the Cardiff City Stadium. A bit drizzly, but that probably suits the game of football, Danny, doesn't it, down there?
Yeah, you don't mind that. Say first game of the season. It does feel like October, November, looking at the conditions, doesn't it? But no, decent, nice zip on the surface. It'll be slick down there, as you'd imagine. Pitch immaculate, first game of the season, and you're ready to go. Yeah, can we get the ball down? Can we try and dominate? And on the flip side of that, I'm sure Cardiff will want to try and play it themselves. I've seen a few clips, as I said, against Bristol Rovers. They did get caught on it a few times, trying to play out from the back. Keeper didn't look too sure on it, but we'll see how we go. But yeah, there's that lineup. Regis Le Bris' first starting lineup. 4-3-3, I think. Dan Neil playing in that familiar role now, isn't he? Just deeper, sitting in front of the back four. I don't mind him in there. I think he's got good control on games when he dictates play. Alan Brown and Jobe ahead of him, almost year eights, aren't they, really getting into the box, making up the numbers. As we've seen with Dennis, wasn't it, funnily enough, arriving on time with that Patrick Roberts ball in last week against Marseille.
It was good to see Dennis play so many minutes in pre-season and get on the end of things as well. Yeah. He's really good at that, Dennis Cirkin. Obviously, the number 3, of course, Dennis Cirkin.
Yeah.
Wrong information on the screen there, but yeah, I mean that was a great thing to come from pre-season, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it was. Yeah, and it's to say he had a tough season, and he last year. Well, look, 50% of the back line, Adji as well next to him. Difficult last year, in and out with injury. But yeah, stayed fit throughout pre-season, and it's getting minutes under their belts, getting them ready for today. And can they stay fit now? We've already had one or two. You know, Dan Ballard's picked up his injury there. You've got Niall Huggins at right back as well. He was still going to be out for a while, I think. So you're looking at that there and saying, can these two stay fit for us now? It gives you that balance, what you want really, isn't it? 50% left footers, 50% right on that right-hand side. Most managers would like that if they have the option.
Yeah, of course, there's still a couple of weeks left of the transfer window as well. There's been much speculation, but generally speaking, do you think we've seen the flurry of moves we'd expect at this point of the season yet? And it tends to happen at the top first, doesn't it, in the Premier League? There hasn't been that many big moves, really, has there?
No, I think, well, from our point of view, I think everybody, you know, we're sat here and we've chatting about centre forwards, I don't know how many times, and I think that's priority for ourselves. You're looking at obviously outgoings, Elliot Embleton joining Blackpool, and
do you think that's a good move for Elliot?
Yeah,
someone you know quite well, and obviously a player that's been at Sunderland forever.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a difficult one for him. he's almost been getting himself into the team at times. He had that bad injury. He got sent off, didn't he, down at Hull?
Broke his leg. Yeah,
and then he's obviously been out on loan. I think it was at Derby he went to last season as well. It's been difficult for him, and I think now if he's not going to get regular football this season, we are, to be honest, if you look at even the bench today with the likes of O'Sheesh in there, Bar, we sort of got options in and around those positions.
Jan Paveda to come in there as well.
come in as well. So he might have looked at it and think, do you know what, fresh start for me. Can I kickstart my career again, really, get going? He obviously had a good time at Blackpool previously, helping them get promoted.
And certainly at League One level as well, he's been one of the best players in and around the top end of that league, really. It's similar to Jay Matete, who goes back to League One himself with Bolton as well. Jay Matete has won a number of promotions from League One now, hasn't he? So him and Elliot Embleton are really good players at that level.
Yeah, and I think it's good to see as well, you know, the option for them could be, or sit round and try and force me way into the squad, or if I'm looking at it from their point of view, and you're sort of reading to pre-season a little bit when you see who you think's going to be the starting 11, and if you're not in and around that, maybe you have a chat with your agent, you have a chat with the head coach and say, what's my game time looking like this season? Am I down the pecking order? Well, if that's the case, go out and go and get yourself some football. And as you say, Jay's done that over the last couple of seasons. Elliot's going to go and do that as well, and there'll be others as well who will look at it, and when it settles down, there's obviously chat about one or two other players as well this week, maybe looking to go out. But on the flip side of that, we've got to get some bodies in as well, haven't we?
Yeah.
You know, you're looking at that and you think, well, where do we need to strengthen? I'm sure we'll get a few questions after the games.
Yeah, of course,
about that.
And of course, you can join in the conversation after the games this season as well. Hashtag Ask Danny is back once again, and you can get your points of view about Sunderland's transfer market activity so far by using the hashtag Ask Danny, which you can see on your screens right now. Let's listen to a little bit of Regis Le Bris then. He's been speaking to the media ahead of today's game, and of course Regis is a French-speaking person, but his English is coming on quite well, I'm sure you'll agree.
I think it's not a new model. I observed and analyzed the game that the team played last season. For example, I remember the game against Southampton at home. They played very well with high pressure. They were bold and they wanted to recover the ball close to the opponent goalkeeper. They play fast and scored and obtained many big chances. And I like this kind of football. And I think they are able to play like that. So the problem was the consistency, the ability to maintain this level during the whole season with different opposition for sure. And we are working on it. So this is not really new ideas, maybe a new way to present, to give feedback, to discuss with them, or to have many conversations, to talk about the leadership, for example. But the game model is almost the same, I think. Now we need consistency to perform during the whole season.
Regis Le Bris there speaking to the media ahead of today's game. We've heard little bits from Regis since coming into Sunderland. I did an evening here with the fans as well. He's quite calm, he's quite measured, isn't he? That'll be reassuring to a lot of players in the dressing room as well. At the moment, he's got the likes of Michael Proctor and Michael Dodds helping him as well, and they obviously know the players very well indeed. But that kind of approach, it can be effective as well, can't it, Danny?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, we haven't been in the changing room, so we're not sure if he's got a blowout in him to get after the boys. I'm sure that we'll see that maybe throughout the season. But no, yeah, just listening to him there, what I picked up on is he's saying play fast, create many chances, and hopefully we'll score lots of goals. Again, going back to what I said when he was taking the session out in Spain, when he was mic'd up there, high tempo. So, listen, it seems to be the case of how a lot of sides want to play these days, isn't it? It's all well and good. But also, he mentioned there, you know, you've got to assess the opposition as well. You know, there's different sides in this league. Some will be direct and miss the midfield and miss the press out. Now, obviously, teams will watch us as well. And if they see we're going to press 4-5 really high into their 18-yard box, if teams want to play out, then sometimes just beat the press.
Well, I actually do understand that the manager is open to changing the approach in games. In fact, if one message I've taken from his press conferences and speaking to the media is that he sees his job is to find the solutions to the problems he finds in front of his side. So he is willing to adapt his styles of play. according to the opposition.
Yeah, of course, you've got all the footage and everything these days, haven't you, to go on the apps and whatnot to have a look at the opposition, and then you narrow it down, it gets clipped, and then you show the boys in the meeting room, this is what we're looking at, this is what we feel is their weakness, what can we get out of that? You know, do you press on a centre-back if he's on his opposite foot, if he's not comfortable in a system we were trying to play out from the back, etc. And as you said there, from our point of view as well, we want to play out from the back. We see Luke dropping in, Adji dropping almost into the 6-yard box. I know it gives some of the fans a heart attack at the Stadium of Light. You can hear it when we're on commentary. But if that's the case, you've got Mayenda up there, and I know he's only 19, he's a young lad learning his trade, but he's got to use his frame now. You know, if we need to miss it out, if teams want to press us high, just drop a little ball in like Marseille did last week, like you see certain teams doing. I thought Spain done it really well against England in the final as well. Just missed England's press out, little ball clipped in, take 5 or 6 players out and then go and play in the opposition's half. It's not lumping it football, route one football, it's just a clever little pass, beating the opposition's press, and then they'll get sick of it then, the midfield, ball sailing over their head, got to keep running back towards their own goal. They might drop off a little bit, then you might get a little bit of space then for ourselves, get Dan Neil and the likes on the ball.
Yeah, exactly, I was going to mention Dan there. Let's have a look at the opposition this afternoon. Then Cardiff City, first game of the season for Sunderland, down at the Cardiff City Stadium. Now Cardiff finished 12th last season. They had a bit of a rocky end to the season in terms of results, but 12th was one of their best finishes for a number of seasons, having diced with relegation in the seasons before. They've stuck with Errol Bullitt, who has been there for just over a year now, and that says a lot for a Cardiff City manager these days, doesn't it?
Yeah, they've got through a few, haven't they? Cardiff, to be fair, haven't quite got there. Obviously had that stint in the Premier League, similar to their rival Swansea as well. Obviously both sides have dropped out of it. Made 1 or 2 signings in the summer, just the one involved there. Callum Chambers, I think they've got him on a free from Aston Villa. He's found it difficult himself. You know, had this spell at Arsenal, obviously, been around 1 or 2 clubs. Hasn't really had regular football, so he's come into their starting lineup. One thing I've noticed with their starting lineup really is the age of their squad.
Yeah.
You know, their 3 midfielders are, Rolls in there 30, you've got Ramsey in there 33, Siopis 30. You know, their average age is just over 28, which is probably the oldest squad in the league. It's not to say they're still not fit lads, and by all means 28, 29 is not old in football, but it's just an interesting one really, where a lot of sides are now, obviously ourselves being one of them, being the younger side of the average age of the squads in the league as well. But on the flip side of that, they've got good experience in the squad then, haven't they? And as I said earlier on, I watched the clips of the last pre-season friendly against Bristol Rovers last week, and Joe Rolls has bent one in the top corner from the edge of the box, and an ex-teammate of mine from Wales, Aaron Ramsey there, smashed one in the other top corner as well. They've got ability in that squad. Callum Robinson, top end of the pitch, been around the Championship for a while now as well. They've got options off the bench at the top end of the pitch, as you said there, with Mété.
And they brought in a new player from Manchester City in the form of Robertson as well, who Alex Robertson, centre midfielder, becomes highly rated, of course, from Manchester City. You'd expect so, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you'd expect so, wouldn't you? Yeah, if, bit in and around it. Again, for himself there, he'll have looked at it and thought, opportunity now, go and play at a good level, Championship, if he's not going to get an opportunity at Man City, which is obviously going to be hard to break into that squad, isn't it? Best players in the world. So yeah, for him to get out there, go and play some games.
At this point of the season, Danny, when you've been working with the manager for about a month now, hasn't it, since Regis Le Bris came in, would you expect that the players are familiar or certainly au fait with his methods and what he wants from certain things like set pieces, how they approach the game? How long does it take normally for those methods to settle into a side?
Yeah, it's a good one, isn't it? I think, for players now, everybody talks about systems a lot really, but yeah, we're a young squad, but everybody knows a 3-5-2 or a 4-3-3. It's just fine-tuning and obviously the detail into it then. So with Regis now, what does he want Jack Clark to do? Does he want him to sit off, and if they're playing a fullback, Perry NG, for example, today, if he wants to push on, does he want Jack to drop off and almost screen in front of him, or does he want to go half and half, sort of split him and the right centre-back, Callum Chambers, go and sit in that pocket of space? Are we going to be brave and go and press them? Let's be honest, if we are going to go and press high, there are going to be times when the opposition are going to be clever enough or good enough to pop through us. You have to accept that, as a side, and we're going to be doing the same to the opposition as well. But yeah, it's all that work, Monday to Friday, and obviously weekends when you're in pre-season as well, and taking his ideas, and a lot of it is also done in the meeting room, on the tactics board, or laser pens on the screens. They'll watch clips from pre-season. You could have done this better, building it right from South Shields to Marseille. has he seen an improvement and what he's looking for from them, and are they taking his ideas on board? So all this has to come together, and we're going to see this over the course of the next 50 games plus.
Okay.
If we do well in the Cups.
If we do well, when we do well in the Cups,
Yeah.
Danny. Okay, then we'll be back after the break. Myself and Danny will be in our commentary positions by then, and you can join us for the full game here on SAFC Live. Broadcasting around the world, of course. Get your matchday streaming passes right now at safc.com.
Sees a little space opening up here. He's still going. Oh, it's a wonderful goal. The first of Huggins' career.
Wow, hey, that takes me back, that does. Fantastic. Hummel, yeah, they were the sponsors. I was there that day, man. Eric Gates, right foot.
Gates has scored!
Come on.
Sunderland into the lead, and that's a...
Oh, get in there. Right foot, back. Header, straight in the back of the net. Gary Bennett's got a hold of his throat. Oh, come on.
What a start for the Sunderland.